Hello, this is Glenn Hughes, and you're watching Blairing Out with Eric Blair.
This is a Blairing Out with Eric Blair show. Today, revisiting a classic 1997 interview with solo artist and former Deep Purple vocalist, songwriter, and bassist, the voice of rock, Glenn Hughes.
Glenn, tell me about your youth and how you got started in music.
Well, I was named after Glenn Miller, the famous trombone player that died in World War II. My father and mother were big fans of that era of music. And lo and behold, at the age of 9 years old, I was placed with a trombone in my hand and lips. And I proceeded to play trombone and read music from the age of 9 years old, and then to piano and then guitar. And but I think for me it was a calling, because everyone of us has a gift in life, and I think mine was to, although for some years I didn't realize it, but for me is to be a musician and singer.
Tell me about the formation of Trapeze.
Trapeze were formed in '69. God, that's a long time ago.
It seems like
as a five-piece, and I was let's call it the second singer, like I was in Purple, but it's a five-piece band, and we were signed to the Moody Blues label Threshold. We were from the same town of those, Birmingham in England, and we chose the Moody's label over Apple, because we were like based in Birmingham, and we had an offer from the Beatles to go with Apple, but we chose the Moody's, and we formed, and it was like a vocal harmony sort of psychedelic band. '69, we toured with Yes and Moody's, and sort of that British harmony rock thing going on. And the band, at some point, they suggested that we get rid of the singer and keyboard player and go to a trio, like the Cream thing was happening in Zeppelin. And we didn't want to be a follower, but we were we were like a British hard rock band that played R&B sort of style, because that was my roots are R&B. So Trapeze was my first love, and it still is.
Yeah, and I read that you actually had a reunion in '94. How was that?
We did. We went and did a couple of shows in England, and wonderful gigs. And then we went and toured basically the southeast and south in the States, Texas, Florida, and Georgia and stuff, and even up Chicago, funny enough. But it was a great success, and my solo career has been edging that out, because I've been, doing solo records and solo tours. But I haven't played in America as a solo artist, and this evening is the start of a few concerts. I'm going to be introducing myself back, because I want to nip in through the back door and let people know I'm still here.
You sound great out there, man.
Oh, thanks.
I heard you, man. You just sound awesome, man. Your voice is just incredible.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, me and my brother were talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like whenever a big band needs help, they go to Glenn Hughes.
Yeah. There's another big band going to call me any moment, I feel, but I can't say who it is. And I'm going to, I think right now in my life I'm very, very centered. I'm very, very happy where I am. And I don't really want to join another, band that's, happening. I just, I want to be who I am, and that is a singer-songwriter who I used to write for albums, each album, and now I write all the time for other people and movies, but right now I'm very, very happy.
Walk us through your departure from Trapeze and your joining Deep Purple in '73.
Trapeze were playing the Whiskey A Go-Go on the Strip in '72, and I found it very amusing that, we played for 4 nights, and everybody in Purple was there, except Ian and Roger. And I'm going, wow, they must really like me as a friend, we just hung out and drank some beers. I never realized they were checking me out. And lo and behold, about 6 months later, we play in the Marquee in London, and they're all there. Actually, Rich is there alone, and he asks me to join Purple, and I said, well, he said, well, he was going to get Paul Rodgers to sing lead vocals, and I would be the second singer and play bass, and I went, I'd like to do it, but I don't want to just be the guy that does the oohs and ahs.
Yeah.
That's, everybody knows that by now. But, and he said, well, sure, because Paul, has got the rich voice, and I've got a higher voice, although we've got a similar sort of tone. And the biggest compliment for me at the time was when Richie said to Paul, well, we're going to get Glenn to sing second, and he said, well, why do you want me if you got Glenn? I thought that was very, very cool. And so I said no for like a year, and then like in April of '73, I joined the band after, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
I understand that, yeah.
I mean, they made me a very, very financially rewarding offer, and I couldn't refuse it, because I said no a couple of times, and they were at the time that they were the #1 band in the world. They were the Billboard Artist of the Year. Smoke on the Water was #1, and Made in Japan was #1, and come on, I mean, you know, 22-year-old guy is going to jump at that. So
life-changing.
Then's the apples, yeah.
Did you enjoy working with Ritchie Blackmore?
When I joined the band, Ritchie initiated me by, we both lived in London, and we flew to Hamburg for the weekend, and we sat up in this bar for 3 days, drinking beer, and we were the best of friends. And he would say, man, he said, you're as good as Paul McCartney, even better. I'm going, wow, cool. Maybe I will be. Who knows? But we got along famous, and then we wrote Mistreated when we got back, and the ball started to roll, and then we started to jam, and then we got David in the band, and then I started to drift into John's territory and hang out. Then me and Ian Pace lived together, and Ritchie sort of lost that vibe with me. And then when we went on stage and I got my own thing going on, because Ritchie's like really like centered on what he wants to do on stage, and he was not really happy about that, so we didn't really hang that much. What you've heard about Ritchie Blackmore, folks, is true. He's a fantastic guitar player, nice chap, but he's sort of the evil one amongst us.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about him.
Also, he'll tell you he's the evil one, but he's not really.
He's actually really a nice guy.
Yeah. Like Ozzy, you know, dear friend of mine. Ozzy's a lovely guy. He's not evil.
Ozzy's great, man.
Lovely
I love that guy.
Dear friend.
God, since you mentioned Ozzy, did you ever meet Randy Rhoads?
Met Randy Rhoads when I was working with Gary Moore in 1979, 80, and Gary was auditioning, was leafing through the guitar players for Ozzy, and I think Gary chose Randy to be the guitar player in the band, so of course I was working with Gary, so I met Randy. He was a lovely chap. Beautiful, beautiful person.
Yeah. What are your greatest moments from your studio recordings with Deep Purple, starting with Burn?
Studio moments from Deep Purple would have to be, I wrote Burn, the riff for it, and I wrote a lot of stuff on that record, but when we wrote Burn, the 5 of us in the room, that was a magical moment, you know, and stuff like Sail Away and Mistreated and stuff that, you know, has got the Glenn Hughes trademark, because if you listen to Purple before I joined, it was a fabulous band, but there was no foundation as far as like any movement in the bass, and Roger's a great bass player. I think it was the notes I didn't play than the ones I played, so you know, so that for me was and they hired me for that reason. So, you know, we changed the shape of the band, and it went top 5 in America. So it wasn't a failure.
Now, Stormbringer.
This is the album that Ritchie and I fell out over, and I said to Ritchie, I said, when you got me to join the band, you realised that my roots were into R&B, and at some point, you know, I was growing rapidly, and I wanted to just add a little bit more soul into the band. A lot of people really liked it. I think we got a new audience, but it was moving away from heavy metal, you know. And I think every band should grow. I think any band that does the same album twice, you know, I don't want to name names, but it's
stale.
I can't do that. And in my solo career, people go, well, what's it going to be this time? Is it going to be hip hop, jazz, rock, pop? I don't know. Whatever the mood is, you know.
The final album, Come Taste the Band.
We auditioned Clem Clemson for the gig in LA, and he was a great guitar player, but he didn't have a character. Nothing against Clem, he's a fabulous guy. He's a great guy, and he's a great guitar player. Then we auditioned Tommy. When he walked into the studio, 5, 6 different colors in his hair, I said, he's coming home with me. We're going to jam at my house. And we jammed that night, and we played the next day, and we wrote Getting Tighter, and Drifter, and Dealer, and you know, it was like it was like another, you know, with Commodore Me and then Tommy, the whole thing with Purple was changing, you know, and it was evolving pretty nicely. Great band. Tommy added something new. I loved it, and he was my best friend. I think it's been recognized very clearly that he was my brother.
You know, what was your relationship like with Tommy Bolin?
Well, he moved in with me up in the hills there in LA, and he lived at my house for 3 months while we were pre-production and writing and rehearsing. And then Tommy and I, we were pretty, you know, we were pretty wild guys, and we hung like donkeys. We just loved it. But we wrote a lot of great music, and we were soul brothers. We were just, you know, dead ringers for each other's vibe. So, you know, I was an only child, and I looked at Tommy like my brother, and I didn't have that vibe with Blackmore. You couldn't get close to him, you know. Yeah. Ritchie likes women, he doesn't like guys. I like guys in the sense I like to hang with guys. Yeah. I like women, like we like women. Yeah. But, you know, we're all human beings, and Tommy was close to me as far as, you know, that.
Tell us about life in the fast lane while in Deep Purple.
You know, back then, the stuff was still working sort of back then, you know. It was still working pretty good, and there was a lot of parties at the house, and we took it on the road, and we didn't get a lot of sleep, but it was still sort of working. And but it was the Come Taste the Band. I had a real wild episode in Germany where I freaked out and threw a bunch of TVs through the windows. We do, you know.
That's rock and roll.
And the band said, maybe you should go check into some rehab thing. And it was like in 75. I'm going, well, what the fuck's rehab, you know? But I went to check in, and didn't work, you know. In the 70s, it was a whole, the era. You're too young for that, but it was the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, all that stuff. And I'm glad I came out of it okay.
What was your first impression of David Coverdale when you joined Deep Purple?
A very nice lad from Yorkshire. He talks like this. See, David really talks like this, but he'll have you believe he talks like this. But he doesn't. And David's an old, dear friend of mine. We never, any people think that we had a problem singing in Purple together, that there was no friction. It was, we did great on the albums together, but towards the end of the band, when I think I was on stage more than he was vocally, and we jammed a lot. So David wasn't, we didn't have an instrument, so it was really hard for him to be on stage. So he's a great singer. We're dear friends. We got along pretty well, but I think it was a bit difficult for him, like a California Jam, when I was doing what I did, and a lot of people saw that. It's on video. You can see the situation. I
have it.
So it's like people say, well, why did you have David? Well, that's what Richie wanted. He wanted two singers, and I wasn't going to sit back and just not sing. So, but I never have a problem working with people, singers, musicians. I don't care. It's not a problem. We're all human beings.
Glenn, could you walk us through your post-Purple solo period?
I did some stuff with Gary Moore, and he was the best friend I had after Tommy, and we were too close as friends, so we didn't kind of work out. And then I met Pat Thrall. He was working with Pat Travers, and he was opening for Def Leppard were opening for Travers at Santa Monica Civic in '81. And I went down there and I said to Pat Travers, I'm sorry, but I have to steal your guitar player, because I'd never heard anything like it. Sure enough, Pat left Travers, and we started to build a foundation, what was to become Hughes Thrall. We took about 9 months living together, figuring each other out, and then we took a lot of time writing that record. And it was a critically acclaimed record. And CBS, the head of CBS, came down to me in the studio and says, we don't even have to promote this, it's going to be a #1 record. So, but it sort of did. It wasn't a flop, but it sold a couple 100,000. But it should have been a bigger record at the time. But I think we didn't promote it. We didn't go on the road. We did about 10 dates, and that wasn't enough. You've got to play a lot. It's a great record. I think people that are interested in Glenn Hughes should pick that one up. It's a great album.
What led you to end up in Black Sabbath in mid '80s?
I was in London and. Doing this Gary Moore thing, which I did with him eventually, and then I got a call from Tony Iommi, a dear friend of mine from my hometown, and he said, would you sing on my solo album? He said, we've got Rob Halford and we've got Robert Plant going to sing 3 songs, and you'll sing 3 songs. I said, sure. I sang 3 songs I wrote and sang 3 songs in one evening, and he went, oh my God, well, we got this free time. I wrote the rest of it in like a few days, and I guess I got to sing the whole record, And the record was done, and did a video for it, and then his managers and Warners thought, well, we should call this Black Sabbath. It was just a bunch of bullshit, because the thing is that anyone who knows me, and let's make it very clear, Black Sabbath is an institution that belongs with Ozzy Osbourne, etc., and those guys. Ronnie James Dio was a great singer, bless you, Ronnie, and Ian Gillan's a great singer, but we just have no business being in Black Sabbath. But as the 7-star record, people should check it out. It's a great album. But it's not a Black Sabbath record. And when I went on the road, lo and behold, a God pulled me away from that thing, because I wasn't supposed to be doing it. I can't sing Ozzy Osbourne stuff. Ozzy's a very monotone, low, almost a dull singer, but a great singer, and you can't sing like Ozzy. And Ozzy can't sing like me. We respect each other a lot, we're very close. And I felt uncomfortable in that band, because Black Sabbath is a great band that should stick with Ozzy Osbourne, and that's what they're doing right now. Actually, I've just done a Tony Iommi solo album, which was coming out after the next Sabbath album.
How is it?
The Tony thing? It's great. It's It's, if you can imagine, Tony, really heavy riffs with trapeze overtones from me, and I'm playing bass on it and singing, so it's very melodic, but it's dark at the same time.
Cool.
So it's, Tony said he wanted me to bring as much influence I could bring into it without getting it super funky, which it wouldn't work. But Tony was man, he gave me the keys, and I just took it away and sort of co-produced it, and it'll be coming out sometime in '99.
Time at the Betty Ford Center?
I think it's been highly written about my trip there, and you know, some people don't like to talk about their visits to these places, but for me, you know, it's okay, because 6-7 years ago I decided that I couldn't stop doing what I was doing unless I went to a professional. And you know, for me, you know, I had to stop drinking and doing chemicals. I couldn't do it alone, and I tried to for a few years, and in 1991 I just said to myself, well, you know, spiritually I was like bankrupt. I was just spiritually dead, you know, and I was, you know, living from royalty check to royalty check, going like a madman. And I just said one day, well, I'm going to give it a shot and do the best I can. And for me, having a program and doing what I did at Betty Ford is showed me a way of life now to live. You know, I was capable of making albums in the '80s, but I wasn't capable of touring. So that's changed now, and I hope someone is watching this and can get something from this. But for me, I had to surrender, and I just was beat up so bad inside from abuse that I just had to say no more. And for me, I turned myself over to some professionals who know how to deal with it. And I live a wonderful life. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Who influenced your bass playing?
Well, first of all, it was the Tamla Motown bass players, period. Carol Kay, the woman bass player, was a big influence. You know, and I can't really name names, but I heard a lot of the really low half-time bass players in the 60s that influenced me. It's what I don't play than what I do play. You know, there's a lot of great era bass players of the 1980s, Stu Hammond, Billy Sheehan, my buddy, playing the way they play, but Glenn Hughes plays halftime, and it's like the cool small, you know, halftime licks, and it's the vibrato that people know me for. It's not the hammer-ons that I don't do that stuff. It's what I don't play. Yeah. It's the more important than what I play on the bass anyway.
Well, I don't think that really makes a bass player, how many notes you can rip into one scale. I think what it is it's, let's face it, it's songwriting. Songwriting and soul.
Absolutely, and I am a soulful guy.
How does one of the greatest singers in rock and roll take care of his voice?
Well, we've discussed alcohol. I don't drink, I don't smoke, no chemicals, no red meat, a lot of exercise, a lot of breathing exercises, and it's all from upstairs for me. It's all a channel from someone greater than I. So, and I put it down to having a gift, and it's not me. It's given to me. I rent this thing, so I'm just lucky to have it. You know.
Who is your favorite sex symbol, Glenn?
I like Sporty Spice.
Really?
Yeah, I think she's cool. Yeah, Sporty Spice is my favorite.
Cool. I like Jerry, actually. I like bigger-sized women.
No, I like Sporty Spice. She's from the north of England, like I am, and I like her. You know, she's cool.
Have you had a chance to meet her?
No, but I will. Trust me.
What CDs are you currently listening to right now?
My car right now, I have Maxwell's Urban Suite, Hammond Ang Suite. I have Best of Sade.
Cool. That's a good one.
Tony. I have Terence Trent in the car. I have Feel by Glenn Hughes in the car. I just listened to on the way down here. And Erykah Badu. You better call Tyrone. Love that.
Cool. That's hot, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, Glenn, what's next for you?
Doing a record right now with Stevie Salas and Matt Sorum. Retro funk rock record, which is going to be coming out sometime in May. I'm doing a dance record, Euro hip-hop, trip-hop, techno record in the summer for something I'm doing secretive over there. But I'm gonna, you know, I'm doing something with Keith Emerson. Maybe do some more shows with Mark and Keith. And for me, it's open. I'm writing. I've just done a thing. I have a song in the Kevin Costner film, and the Postman. So for me, it's all open right now. You know, I'm going to tour South America in March with my band. Going to go to Russia in May. So it's a busy year for me. And I live in the South Bay in Los Angeles, so you know, it's good.
Glenn, thank you so much for doing this interview, man.
Blaring Out Show with Eric Blair, signing off. Bye-bye.
Absolutely.
The Blaring Out Show.